Okay, before we get into the lesson, we need to know what a reciprocal is. Reciprocal is when you flip the fraction. So 3/5 would be 5 over 3. Okay. -6, I'd put a 1 under it, and then I would flip it to 1 over -6. Okay. 1/4 would be 4 over 1. -1/7, that would just become -7 over 1. Okay. One thing, when these end up with 1s underneath on the bottom, the answer is really just 4. Okay, so I prefer you just put that. If there's a 1 underneath it, it's -7. So 5 over 1, that goes to 1/5. Okay. -8, that's going to go to -1/8. Doesn't matter really where you put the negative, but okay, so that's how you reciprocate. Now, we're not going to look at the back side of that. Now, in the last lesson, what we talked about is exponent functions, the expo stuff, okay? So y equals 4, and I'd put a caret symbol there when the x is at the top right. So this is an expo function. Now, an expo function works different than a linear function. It's not going to be just a straight line. So really the only way to do it is to make an input-output table, and like we did Friday, but we're going to go 0, 1, 2, but we also need to get some negatives, okay? So you're going to go -1 or -2, -1, 0, 1, 2. Do them in that order, please, okay? Now, on your scratch paper, I'm going to explain how this is going to work, okay? Just write 4 caret x out 5 times. Okay, we're not going to do this every problem. This is just shows you how things are going to work here. Why we get what we get. We're going to use a calculator, but okay. So first thing I'm going to do is put a -2 in for x. Just scribble out the x and put -2 because that's the first number. Now, when you have a negative number, a negative exponent, you put a 1 underneath over the top of it, then you're allowed to make it positive. So 1/4 is 1 over 16. Now, I'm not a big fan of graphing fractions, so what you're going to do is divide the top by the bottom to make it a decimal. So 0.0625. That's going to be our first answer. Okay, now, next number we put in for x is -1. So if you have a negative power, which we just put there, 4 to the -1 power, okay, you put a 1 over it so you can make that a positive 1. Well, 4 to the first power is 4, so 1/4. But I'm not a fan of fractions, so I divide 1 by 4, and I get 0.25. Okay, next one, we're going to put 0 in, okay, 4 to the power of 0. Well, we don't have to put a 1 over the top of it. One thing, 4 to the 0 power is 1. Okay, anything to the 0 power, any base to the 0 power is always going to be 1. Well, I can just put 1. That's easy. Okay. Now we put a positive 1. So 4 to the first power is just 4. Now you put a 2. 4 to the second power is 4 times 4. It's going to be 16. Okay. Now, that's the end. Graph it. Now, we are going to use a calculator for this, okay? Now, we have to get all the way to 16. Your x-axis, you number 0, 1, 2, -1, -2. That's the only ones we need. Now, we have to make it up to 16, okay? So, going by ones doesn't work. So, on the y-axis, this is the x. On the y-axis, we need to number up by 2's. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, and 16. Okay. Now start where you have the most extreme number right here. Start graphing there. Don't start graphing those little decimals. Okay. So 2/16. So I go to 2/16. Okay. 1/4. So I go to 1 and then 4. 0, 1, 0, and then 1. Now, all that happens with those little decimal numbers is you just get closer to the middle, closer and closer, like microscopically closer to the middle. but you're never going to go into down here. You're never going to cross the x-axis here. So now I'm ready to make my line. So I make my arrow that way, because that way just goes up, up, up. This way does not go down, down, down. This way just levels out against the x-axis. Don't cross it or I'm counting it wrong. Okay, you can't cross this middle line. That's how all graphs are going to look with an exponent function. Okay, now we're going to use Mr. Calculator here. Y equals 1/5 and then caret x. Okay, so again, I want to use an input-output table and just start -2, -1, 0, then 1, then 2. Now, go to your calculator, okay? And you can caret negatives when you're graphing, okay? So, you're going to hit parentheses, and you're going to go 1, ABC 5, okay? Now, you close the parentheses just like that, hit your caret symbol, and then put in -2. 25, okay? Now I'm going to explain why that's 25, okay? You have 1/5 with a -2. Now, if you already have a fraction to the -2, these two just switch places, 5 over 1, and it's a +2. So 5 caret 2 is 25, and 1 caret 2, 1 to the 2nd power is 1, and 25 over 1 is just 25. So that's why that works, okay? Now, leave that, and here's what you're going to hit. Don't clear it, okay? Hit your up key. You got this compass here. Click the up key, and just instead of a -2, now we want a -1. So we keep the negative sign, we put a 1, so now that's 5. Okay. Now, click the up key. Now, what you need to do now is just delete the negative, hit this DEL key, okay, delete the negative, and then put 0, okay, so 1. And then click up. You have to delete the negative when you go to 0. You hit DEL, delete, okay, 1, and that's 1/5. Now, if we don't want that fraction, okay, here's what you do. Just put 1/5 down and we'll divide it later, okay? Click equals, and then 2. So 1/25. You want to clear it every time, that's fine too. Okay, now get rid of these fractions, just divide the top by the bottom, so that equals 0.2, cross that off, and then 1 divided by 25, 0.04. Okay, so now we have to get to 25. Again, the x-axis is always 0, 1, 2, -1, -2. Okay. Now the y, we have to get up to +25. That's the most extreme. So we're going to number up by 5s. Okay, 1s won't work, 2s don't work, then try 5s. And I have up on the board what you should be going by. Something that's easy to count by. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. Okay. So I'm going to start here at the 25. Here I started here. I start with the most extreme part of the table. But now I'm going to start on the top of my table because that's where I have the most extreme number. So I go -2, 25, -1, 5, 0, 1. Now with these decimals, all those do is take us closer and closer to the middle. Okay. So go up that way, and this way you go, just level out against the x-axis. Okay, y equals -2 times 1/3 to the x power. So again, that's a caret. Remember, that looks more complicated, but we're just going to enter in the function on the calculator. Okay, so let's go 0, 1, 2, but then I also want some negative inputs here today. So go -2 times parentheses 1 ABC3, close it, caret, and then -2. Okay, so I got -18. Now, rather than clear the whole thing, just click the up key on your compass, and instead of -2, now we want -1. So I keep the negative sign, and I put 1. -6. I click the up key. Now I want that negative out of there, so I hit DEL right here, okay? And then instead of 1, I want 0. Okay, -2. Click up, instead of 0, we want 1. So -2/3, we'll get rid of that later. Click up, and 2. Okay, -2/9. Now I'm going to get rid of those decimals before I grab those fractions. So I'm going to take -2 divided by 3. Just put -0.66. Okay. And then take -2 divided by 9, -0.22. Okay, now x, same thing. You go 0, 1, 2, -1, -2. Okay. Now on the y-axis, you want to do this side because you're at negative. Okay. So we got to get to -18. So 1s doesn't work. Just 2s, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 4, 6. That won't work. So now go 5s. -5, -10, -15, -20. So we're going to start up here because that's where I have the most extreme value. So I go -2, -18. Okay, that's where -18 would be. -1, -6 be between here. 0, -2 right there. Now these decimals, all they do is level out against the x-axis, but it's from this side. Okay. So this way you just go infinitely down, this way levels out. The reason it's upside down is because you had a negative multiplying number right there. Okay, y equals 5 times 2 to the x power. Put the caret symbol in there. And it's an exponent function, so we're going to go 0, 1, 2, but then I also want some negative input too. So 5 times 2 caret -2. Okay, 1.25. 5 times 2 caret -1, 2.5. 5 times 2 caret 0, 5. 5 times 2 caret 1, you get 10. And I wasn't using the up key, then 2, I got 20. Okay. Okay, so down here is where we're going to start. So 0, 1, 2, -1, -2. So I got to get up to 20. Okay. Okay, so I can't really go by ones. Now we're doing the positive because these are all positive outputs. So 2, 4, 6, 8. 2 won't work, go 5, 5, 10, 15, 20. So start here, 220, okay, 220. 110, 110, 0, 5, 0, 5. Then all these other ones they just get closer to the x-axis, okay. So go up this way. Again, this side don't go down, you level out against the line, just like that. Okay, next one, instead of 5, I'm going to switch that to a 3. Okay, because we already did one with 5. Y equals 3 to the x power. Okay, so 0, 1, 2, -1, -2. So 3 caret -2, 0.11. Then instead of -2, -1, 0.33. Now you got to delete the negative, hit the DEL key, and then 0. That's 1, 3, and 9. Okay. Okay, so we're going to start here. So we got 0, 1, 2, -1, -2. Sometimes you start on top, sometimes you start on bottom. We're going to start on bottom because that's where we got the most extreme values. Okay, so 9, we're at the positive. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I can make it by ones. Okay, so if you're going by ones, you don't really have to number. I mean, I'll do it, but. So 2, 9. So I go to 2 and then 9. 1, 3. I go 1 and then 3. 0, 1, and all we do with these is go level out against the axis, okay? So again, you go up that way with the arrow and across that way against the x-axis. Okay, y equals 1/2 times 1/7 to the x power. Okay. Same thing, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2. So I go 1 ABC2 times, you got to get that in parentheses. If there's a parentheses, you have to do it, okay? Parentheses keys are here. Caret -2. Okay, I got 24 and 1/2. Okay, 1 ABC2 times 1 ABC7, caret -1, 3.5. So I'll just click up. After the caret, you want to delete the negative, and then you don't want 1, you want 0. Okay, so 1/2. Click up, instead of caret 0, you want caret 1. So it's 1/14. And we want 1/98. Okay. Okay, now with this whole number, you're just going to divide your 1 by your 2, but instead of 0.5, you're going to put 24.5. You should know how to do that, okay? You're not going to have 0.5, you're just going to put a 24 in front of the decimal, so it's 24.5. Okay, and likewise on here, you're going to put 3. You get 0.5, but instead of a 3.5, you're going to have a 3.5. Okay. Okay, then 1 divided by 2. Now there's no whole number, so now we'll have 0. Okay. 0.07. 0.01. Okay. Now here's your extreme side. Okay. So 0. It doesn't matter that that's a decimal. Okay. Just make it to 24 and go a little bit up above it. Okay. Alright, so we can't go by 2s, you're going to have to go by 5s. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. Okay. So -2 is here, 24.5 is just between these two. Okay. -1, 3.5, be right here. 0, 0.5. That, dude, all this does is get lower and lower, but at the end, all it does is level out against the axis. So you go up here, okay, and across here. Okay, y equals -4 times 6 to the x power. So So 0, 1, 2, then -2, -1, in that order, okay, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, so we got -4 times 6, caret -2, -0.11, click up, and we want to keep the negative, and we want 1, okay, -0.67, caret, del your negative, and then 0, -4, instead of 0 we want 1, it's going to be -24, and now we want caret 2, -144. Okay, so my x is 0, 1, 2, -1, -2. Okay, now we're going to label the negative side of the y-axis because they're all negatives. The reason they're all negatives is because we have a negative multiplication number here in the front. Okay. All right, we're going to get to -144, so we're going to have to go by 20s, okay, up on the board. So I have up on the board, okay, if 1s don't work, 2s. If 2s don't work, 5s. If 5s don't work, 10s. If 10s don't work, 20s. So negative 20, negative 40, negative 60, negative 80, negative 100, negative 120, negative 140. That's good enough. We'll just go below that. So we start at the extreme side, okay? So 2, negative 144. It's going to be down here. 1, negative 24. It's going to be between the 20 and the 40. 0, negative 4. It's between the 0 here. And all these last ones do is just go level out. Those really small decimals. So we go this way. Over here. This way you don't go up. You level out against the axis. Okay, y equals 3 times 1/2 to the x power. So 0, 1, 2, but I also want you to get some negatives in there. So 3 times the parentheses 1ABC2, just like that, caret negative 2 at 12. Now, caret negative 1, 6, del the negative, and 0, be 3. Because that to the 0 power is 1, but then 3 times 1 is 3. Okay. Now instead of 0, you get 1. 1 and 1/2. And then 2. 3/4. Okay, I'm not a fan of graphing fractions, so divide 1 by 2, but it's not going to be 0.5. That 1 replaces the 0, so it's 1.5. And 3 divided by 4, this one will be a 0, 0.75. Okay, so this is your extreme side. So 0, 1, 2, negative 1, negative 2. So we got to get to 12, okay? So 1s won't work, and you're going up now because they're all positives, okay? So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and 12. So negative 2, 12. So I go 2, 12. Negative 1, 6. 0, 3. And these last two, I guess 1.5 is kind of obvious, and these just go against closer. They go downward, but they're not. They go closer to the x-axis, but they never actually cross it.